Black beans and rice sounds simple, right? Well, this version is anything but ordinary. The secret? Chipotle peppers in adobo. You decide the heat so you can keep it mild or you can go wild, but either way, this dish hits the mark. It's smoky, savory, loaded with peppers and tomatoes, and it gets a serious kick from those chipotle peppers. As always, this is quick and easy, so let's dive in. You'll need red onion, colored peppers, and I'm using a combination of colors because they make the finished dish look especially vibrant. Garlic, chipotle peppers in adobo sauce, and you'll probably won't need the entire can, but I guess that depends on your tolerance. Diced tomatoes, fire roasted if you have them, but if you don't, just regular. Black beans, we'll drain those and rinse them, and we'll want some spices. We'll also add some cooked cooled rice, and I prefer jasmine rice here. It has a lighter texture and it allows the smoky bean mixture to really stand out. And I batch prep mine and keep it in the freezer, but you can also buy rice in the freezer section of a lot of grocery stores. I know Trader Joe's carries an especially nice frozen jasmine rice. Now before we start cooking, let's talk about these chipotle peppers. Chipotles are ripe jalapenos that have been smoked and dried, and the canned ones are packed in rich, tangy adobo sauce. And adobo sauce is a rich sauce primarily made with tomatoes, vinegar, garlic. It has herbs and spices. And chipotle in adobo adds more than heat. So it brings a smokiness, an acidity and sweetness, and a deep chili flavor that works really well with the black beans. I'm gonna chop the chipotle peppers fairly fine so the flavor distributes evenly throughout the dish. And I chop these on a hard surface and avoid my cutting board because it will stain the wood. You choose how much to use. Start with 1 pepper and a spoonful of the adobo just for moderate heat, and you can always add to it later. Just remember that different brands and individual peppers can vary a lot in the heat. It's always easy to add more, but you sure can't take it out. Now let's get these veggies chopped. And because I'm using both a red and an orange pepper, I'll use half of each. Now you'll want to use a heavy pot for this, and you can even use a Dutch oven. I've preheated my pot over a medium-high heat, and you know I'm a fan of the water sauté, so we'll sauté our peppers and our onions. Now remember, we're not boiling these, we're just going to sauté them by adding a little bit of water at a time. And when you start to get a little color in the bottom of your pot, that's when you want to splash in a little bit of water. And this will start breaking that golden color loose. And we'll saute these with our water until they're nice and soft. Let's toss this garlic in, and we'll saute it for 30 to 60 seconds. That garlic is nice and fragrant. Let's add our fire roasted tomatoes and our black beans. Water and our spices. Smoked paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, cumin, and a couple of bay leaves. And last but not least, our chipotle with adobo. And I'm adding about a tablespoon of the adobo sauce. I can always add more when I taste test it. And if you use salt, I recommend not adding salt until the end because canned beans and tomatoes and the adobo sauce all contain sodium. So just stir everything together and make sure the beans are really well coated with all the spices. And we'll reduce the heat to medium-low and allow this to simmer for about 5 minutes. Remember to stir it frequently so the beans don't stick and the sauce cooks evenly. This brief simmer will give the tomatoes time to break down slightly and allow the smoky, spicy flavors to work their way into those beans. Just keep an eye on this, and if the mixture becomes a little bit dry, add a little bit of water or veggie broth. You want it moist enough to coat the rice, but it shouldn't be soupy. At this point, the kitchen smells incredible. I can smell the smoke from the paprika and the chipotles and the sweetness of those peppers and all that garlic and cumin. Now let's add our cooked rice, and cold rice works especially well because the grains are slightly firmer and they're less likely to become mushy. I'm using jasmine rice, but brown jasmine rice works well too. And now we're just going to gently fold the rice into the bean mixture very carefully. We don't want to stir it aggressively because we don't want to tear that rice up. And we're just going to cook this over medium heat, stirring it occasionally until it's heated through. Just keep an eye on it, and if you need to, you can add a little bit more water or broth. Everyone's taste preference is a little different, so if you want a drier beans and rice, you can just cook this uncovered until it reaches the right consistency for you. Now it's time to taste this, and this is where you can adjust everything to your preference. Add salt if you like. From our smokiness, you can add another sprinkle of smoked paprika. If you want, you can also add more heat by putting in an additional chipotle pepper or adobo sauce. And if the heat has gotten a little stronger than you intended, a squeeze of fresh lime juice can brighten the dish a little bit and help soften the perception of that heat. That is good. It's spicy, but I use 2 chipotle peppers because we like the heat. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to this, and I love to serve it with some cool, creamy avocado for contrast. This looks beautiful. You have the black beans, the colorful peppers and tomatoes, that fluffy jasmine rice, and it's all coated in that smoky chipotle seasoning. This has so much more flavor than you might expect from a basic beans and rice recipe. The black beans still have texture, and the chipotle gives it a deep, smoky flavor before the heat begins to build. And that jasmine rice absorbs all of that tomato and adobo sauce without making the dish feel heavy. You can serve this as a complete meal, but it's also great stuffed in a tortilla, served as the base of a burrito bowl. You can get really creative on how to use the black beans and rice. This recipe is fast and filling, and it's made with simple pantry ingredients. You can keep it mild and smoky or use that entire can of chipotle peppers and turn up the heat. Just remember to adjust the amount of chipotle to your own taste, because this dish can go from warm to smoky, seriously spicy, very quickly. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Remember to hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss the recipe next week, and I'll see you then.